From the Driving Range, Book 1, The Three-Hole Match, by Clyde Peach. Acknowledgements. Many people shared directly and indirectly in the development of this chapbook. Friends, employees, golf pros, my children, and most of all my wife Judy. Several dozen outstanding golfers were helpful because they let me explore their minds to find out how their golfing brains worked. Several who used my techniques and game provided positive verification by forming better and enjoy their golf time more. My father, who introduced me to the game, the Pinehurst Group, TPG, from the Country Club of Indianapolis, Jim, Skip, Dan, Jack, Mike, Bart, Dave, sitting and pitching quarters in the saloon of the Pinecrest Inn, they provided humor, practicality, encouragement, and skepticism about my notions. John, MD, an author, an excellent golfer in his own right, encouraged me to publish my ideas. Thanks to my editors, Megan, a senior English major at Ball State University, Joan, a longtime friend and English whiz from Houston. I thank my beautiful wife, Judy, and our 3 great kids. To all these people I say, thanks. Introduction. This is the first book of the From the Driving Range trilogy, The Three-Hole Match. It has to do with thinking creatively about golf. I've been an avid player for more than 20 years. During that time, my handicap has fluctuated between 15 and 6 from the blue tees. I'm a regular customer of driving ranges and am a good hacker through a large bucket. While polling and whacking thousands of balls one summer, I developed images and games to get my practice from the driving range to the golf course. This writing is for those driving range players who want to create similar images or focus their already self-devised visions. The Three-Hole Match is about dealing creatively with change, something we all face on a daily basis. It is not about mechanics, nor is it based entirely on research and fact. There is some fiction with fictitious characters in the writing, but fiction is handmaiden to the game. It is all about rending the veil that separates a driving range from its golf course, the veil that prohibits the transport of a few smooth, repetitive driving range swings to the first tee box on a dewy Saturday morning. It is about beneficial change and the positive feeling of hope. A player who is creative can change. Creativity and imagination can overcome the mystery of transforming a range swing to a course swing, and vice versa. I've described to some how to create these images and thoughts and have enjoyed watching their improvement at and enjoyment of this noble game. It is fascinating, the creative ability of human beings, so engage your imagination. It's free. From the Driving Range. Golf is the best game that men, I, and lassies too, can play at. Old Tom Morris. Chapter 1. World's fastest night. The expert hits long drives because he builds up considerable rates of speed in the clubhead. Bobby Jones. June 1968, Sacramento, California. Sacramento Stadium. It was, in the vernacular, called, quote, Speed Night. A mercurial society of dashmen had assembled for the 80th annual AAU Championships. Track and Field News had hyped the event as the greatest 100-meter competition of all time. The prizes were invitation to the U.S. Olympic team's training center in Lake Tahoe and a possible spot on the Mexico City Olympic team. The star-stacked field in Sacramento was loaded with sprinting gunslingers who could achieve and accelerate their bodies to thoroughbred speeds. Charlie Green from Nebraska, Jim Hines from Texas Southern, Ronnie Ray Smith from San Jose State, John Carlos from East Texas State, and many more who had run at least a 9.3-second 100-yard dash that year. It was, at the time, the largest assemblage of the world's fastest humans. 6 claiming to be the world's fastest human, and many other wannabes who had posted an official world-class time that year, qualifying them to be there at the high point of the year's sprinting action. Speed is the most important quality an athlete can possess. The ballistic power of a super sprinter turning his body up to maximum human velocity is exciting to watch. Releasing speed naturally, a premier 100-meter sprinter will in 10 violent seconds or less expend maximum energy to compete a race in fierce mental states of passive aggression. There can be only the single focus of the finish line as sprinters power their alter egos through fields of space-time at 33 feet per second. In the timeless cocoon of a runner's trance, and aggressively suspended among speeding competitors during a race, the sprinter can only perceive the stereo rhythm of incredibly hostile footstrokes around their racing selves. Trained to click into a simple, quiet, and trusting mind in order to maximize their strides per second during the chaos and intensity of a dash, battle-hardened sprinters rely only on their being's gift, unmatchable, God-given, supreme, stunning, and unbridled demon speed. Open-air speed that can be experienced by normals while riding on a Harley Davidson. Being in Sacramento that warm evening as a 100 and 200-meter competitor was a thrill. The soft 90-degree heat and the dinnertime weather made it perfect for sprinting. 2 years earlier at the same stadium, same time and same month, I had competed as a high schooler in the Golden West Invitational Track and Field Meet. The annual games assembled the nation's outstanding graduating seniors to crown a mythical national schoolboy champion in each event. I had been a double winner in the 100 and 220-yard dashes at that meet that year. There was no greater place in the world for a sprinter to be than Sacramento that evening in 1968. Having barely qualified for the showdown among the fastest humans in the world just 2 weeks earlier at a meet in Houston, my chances for an Olympic berth were problematic. Just to be there on one of the most riveting evenings of sprinting the world had ever witnessed was enough. There were no unrealistic expectations on my part. I just wanted to race among the fastest men on earth before retiring from the sport of running fast, and maybe even add some revs to the moment of there. Speed work. Sprinting from A to B is one of athletics' most elemental and purest competitive forms. It requires controlled intensity, brute force, arrogance, powers of concentration that blot out everything, rage, a combative nature, and an anti-hero's attitude. Each competitive instant is ruthless and no place for lily-livers. It is yourself against the others. The rapid body movements necessary to accelerate to a world-class sprinter's 5 quicksilver strides per second have to be natural and fluid in order to control fatigue-induced tension. I can't remember discovering my gift of speed. I arrived with it and searched and tuned my body for it, addicted to the feel, look, and sound of unleashed primal acceleration. I enjoyed the palpable intensity shared between sprinters in the mutually exclusive pursuit of their body's mythical instant of sizzle. Human sizzling is a fragile tick in time, where full individual self-potentials bang together magically across a single event horizon. Ourselves' swiftest, highest, strongest, or brightest lifetime instant. On any one of life's goal graphs, sizzle would be the extreme positive point for any single target endeavor. It's reciprocal. Fizzle, slowest, lowest, weakest, dumbest, lifetime instant, the extreme negative. Every other attempt would be scattered about the middle, representing just target practice. The directed release of body speed is a significant element in striking a golf ball well. The velocity of the swing squared times the mass of the club head determines the distance a golf ball will travel. Optimum speed, sweep velocity, and stroke power results as in sprinting only from a quiet mind-body state, inner calm. Tension and anxiety are force breaks. Ball strikers need to discover and learn how to release their natural speed in order to maximize the acceleration and energy of a golf stick's club head, letting their swing happen in the hypnotic trance of a peaceful mental state, which is an impact multiplier. Like a 100-meter sprint, a golf swing has a start, acceleration, transition, and finish. One midlife golfing summer, I battled to improve my golf swing at several local driving ranges, surfing my body for swing speed, golf imagination, and athletic determination. I rooted around in my primordial internal cadence timer, searching during the 2 seconds of each golf swing for the remnants of my sprinter's fluid body rhythms. Speed night. The call went out for the first preliminary heat race for the 100 meters, Olympic distance that year. The one in which 6 others and I were in. I had the lane between Hines, the reigning fastest human, and Smith, heir apparent. 3 would make it to the semis. As the starter called us to our marks, the 23,000 fans became silent. I could feel my heart pounding against my ribcage and the veins tightening in my throat. My legs began feeling like mush as I knelt into the blocks. What was I doing here? The starter called us set. The gun barked its big bang. Everyone exploded away from the start, arms and legs churning against gravity. I fought to stay within the tethered to the magnetic energy of the snarling and spitting group. Hines and Smith tore off, lightning quick. The rest of us were like a pack of hungry dogs chasing a rabbit, pursuing the leaders down Sacramento Stadium's hard-baked clay track that would have registered a 12 on the stemp meter. I had never heard such rapid, powerful foot strokes. Had Hines and Smith been running on water, I was sure they would have been on top. Around me and the remaining pack of 5, it sounded like machine gun fire. I fought hard to maintain my concentration in order to run my best and not humiliate myself in front of the huge crowd. A few dozen exhilarating heartbeats later, Hines had ripped off the world's fastest ever 100-meter time, 9.8. Smith was second at 9.9 with the world's second fastest time. Clyde Peach became a participant in sprinting history, a self-respecting finisher, and had thankfully avoided the role of court jester among sprinting's royals. Sprinting is nothing more than the explosive action of leaping from one foot to the other. Training muscles for high-speed movement enhances an athlete's ability to produce speed. Golf requires brisk changes in body direction that accelerate human extremities into short bursts of speed that produce the ballistic power of delivery necessary for forceful shots. The rapid stretching, loading of speed muscles activates a muscle spindle reflex, which sends a powerful stimulus that causes them to contract faster and with more power. Hopping, jumping, bounding, leaping, skipping, ricocheting, swinging, and twisting are important parts of a strength and stamina training program. That golfing summer, I also engaged the service of a personal trainer 3 early mornings a week. He developed a golf fitness program that integrated body control, power, strength, cardio aerobics, and plyometric speed exercises. Along with the physical program, I settled psychologically into a preparation mindset at the driving ranges. The speed and body control program was allowing me to begin hitting the range balls longer and along consistent left-to-right trajectories, a low, mild fade. Psychologically, I was trying hard to force confidence and trust into the new repeating golf swing and into my subconscious in order to prepare for fun on the golf course. I extrapolated from my sprinting experience not to take a preparing mind to the links. There could be no judging, criticizing, or analyzing during an active round. I could only get golf ready at my many ranges by constantly analyzing my progress towards an instinctive golf swing, internalizing that stillness of a feeling stroke that were sending the balls powerfully along kindred flight patterns at the driving ranges. The protagonist. Walking back across Speed Night's scorched finish line, where the slack-jawed judges and timers had surrounded the top 3 finishers, a child's faint voice called out from behind me, "Hey, Peach! Peach!" I wheeled around. There, between the great banks of spectators at the stair aisle gate leading to the track, stood a small, wispy, black youngster about 11 or 12 years old. He motioned me towards him with a small white card in his hand. Come here," he yelled. The standard issue kid was wearing an oversized golf shirt with baggy shorts and a tattered golf cap covered his fine black hair. Walking towards him, I read the hat's monogram, Pebble Beach Golf Links. Shyly, he held the little white card and a souvenir program out towards me. The first heat results came over the public address system, and I accepted the card announcing Hines' time of 9.8 and a possible world record. The crowd roared its delight. "My grandfather asked me to give this card to you, but give me your autograph first, okay?" the wide-eyed boy shouted over the buzz of the crowd. I removed a stubby green golf pencil stuck behind his small ear, signed the program, and handed it back. I then accepted the tattered white card and quickly glanced down to read its message. It was a short one-line congratulatory note which included my unofficial time for the race. I looked up to thank him for the gift, but the young black child had bolted up the stadium steps. I caught his eye as he ducked into an exit tunnel and held up the card, my night's prize, in appreciation. As I walked back up the track toward the athlete's exit, enjoying an unusually intense and lingering post-race glow, I turned the card over. It read, Baffin Peanut Wiles, golf professional, caddy, greenskeeper, clubmaker, instructor, gambler. The address was from somewhere in Louisiana. There was no phone number, but in the right-hand corner of the threadbare card was a cartoonish illustration of a tall golfer of color, thin as a greyhound, leaning casually against his golf club. The preparation mindset I was internalizing at the driving ranges that golf summer was familiar to me, having used it during years of training my body to run rapidly from point A to point B. The downside of this mentality, as Robert J. Rotella, Ph.D., wrote in the medical book Feeling Up to Par, Medicine from Tee to Green, is that athletes get stuck in this type of thinking. They prefer trying their hardest to trying their best. Many get stuck on being a perfectionist and self-critical in a way that does not motivate, but destroys confidence and trust. Attitudes become increasingly serious. Eventually, as more time is spent practicing than competing, the preparing mind can become dominant in the most comfortable mindset, so that even when playing in competition, these athletes practice and consciously work on their form. In reality, their sport is never played. Early on, I committed to a shotgun approach to driving range practice. I decided to be unafraid to try different states of mind and habits that would simulate as realistically as possible the competition of the golf course. I would focus on those concepts that worked and refine them. I remained at Sacramento Stadium as a spectator for the rest of Speed Night's dashes. Each event's blaze of speed had its own galvanizing quality. Mind-blowing and an orgy of human velocity are the only ways to describe what happened that night. 12 people went on that evening to break the once proud world record of 10 seconds. Charlie Green from Nebraska was the eventual finals winner at 10 seconds flat. Unofficially, according to my dog-eared card, I had run my personal best 100-meter time in the night's first trial, the world's fastest race. I had raced competitively, tried my hardest, and fortunately been part of an historical evening of sprinting. Hines' sizzling 9.8 time was later disallowed as a world record because of a light, flag-flapping 2.1 meters per second zephyr. The California Desert Eddy was just above the allowable 2.0. And asterisked the race as wind aided. But that did not diminish to insignificance the contest's luster as the world's fastest race. The record, though, was gone with the wind. Having followed my athletic dream to a successful conclusion, I left Sacramento Stadium that legendary evening complete. There could be no more competitive running for me after that night, as it would have been anticlimactic and just like more target practice. Pulling the final running remembrance out of my pocket, I reread the card's short note. Man, you were there. Great race. I timed you at 10.1. Reflecting in silence on the words of the card's telling message, I realized that the intense burning afterglow I still felt, and which I can still recall today, was from the remaining superadrenalized debris of an instant of sizzle. The card was signed, a longtime fan, Peanut.